Whether you choose to just go for it and launch your practice, or you choose to follow your usual routines, you're always putting something on the line. So choose carefully. Don't kid yourself with the idea that playing it safe by living within the status quo gives you the best odds. That may be the surest way of losing. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in to Coffee with Dr. Scott. If you tuned in last Monday, we talked about relying on unseen forces. And one of your thoughts may have been that, making this launch that Dr. Scott talks about in my business feels a little bit chancy, feels a little bit risky. We're going to address that today. It's one of the secrets of high-performance chiropractors, something that if you're new to the show, I'm giving the 14 secrets of high-performance chiropractors that I've kind of studied over the years and figured out what makes high-performance chiropractors. I believe we're on number 6 at this point, and it is they choose a different set of risks. So before we get into that, please answer the question of the day, which is, what is the best sport to watch live? You can use an emoji if you'd like. You can use a GIF if you'd like, or you can just type in a message. Either way, what's the best sport to watch live? Baseball, basketball, or football? If you have another one, if you're a soccer fan, I'm not going to hold that against you. Go ahead and put that in the comments if that's your choice. One time out of the year, I would say basketball, and that would be March Madness, which we lost this year. And actually, it happened right then, right? March Madness was supposed to be March 19th. I think it was March 13th, 14th that this whole thing started, and they started shutting things down. And they were planning on having March Madness, but it's like, oh, now we're going to do it in empty stadiums. Now we're just going to shut it down. So, my favorite time of the year. So I would definitely say basketball in that instance. However, on a regular weekly basis, I would go with football. The question is live, though, not on sports. Not on TV. I missed my own question. Live, I'd still go with football, especially on a regular basis. So I see John, Hector, Dennis joining me. Thanks for stopping in, guys. Make sure you let me know what your favorite sport to watch, either on TV or live. Since I messed it up, you can as well. Let's see here. Good. Let's move on. Again, this high-performance secret is called choose a different set of risks. I've found that the chiropractors who have had great success have done that. The risks of practice growth, or really in any situation, will always kind of be very apparent to you, right? They may be quite threatening. And we've talked about this in the last few secrets. But what you've got to do in this situation is you've got to stack those risks of going for it, those risks of relying on unseen forces and just making the jump. Again, I keep going back to my daughter jumping across the creek. There's risks involved in that, right? There's risks involved in getting hurt and not being successful, but there's also risks involved in staying on the shore. And that's what we're talking about today. You've got to stack those risks of going for it up against the hidden risks that you accept when you just decide to live with the status quo. When you decide to stay on the shore, when you decide to not go where you want to, or just accepting the life that has been given to you. Ask yourself what you're risking if you don't go for this launch. The risk is that you're not going to get what you want out of life. You're going to be stuck exactly where you are if you don't take any actions. So you've got to understand that you can never escape risk. And high-performance chiropractors have figured that out. They figured out that the risk, in their opinion, of staying the way they are right now is far greater than taking the action, even if there's failure involved. So there's not something that you can decide to live with or without. Risk is always going to be there. Something is always at stake. You can only decide which risks to take. So you get to choose. And whether you choose to go for that launch, and I'm using the word launch here, and for those of you who don't know me, my business is called Chiro Launch. I feel like practices grow. I know for certain. I've seen enough practice statistics to know that practices, businesses don't grow in a steady format. I see some coaches, I work with some chiropractors, and they show me their 3-year, 5-year plan. And it's just like every year they get 20% better. Practices don't grow that way. Practices hang out until they learn something new or something changes in them, and then they launch to the next level. And once at that level, they hang out for a little while longer, and then they launch to the next level. So I always talk about launches, and that's where I work with my clients. Is I'm always geared towards making a launch. Never slow, comfortable growth is jumping to the next level, hanging out there till you figure something else out new, then jumping again. That's the way we grow, and if we can focus on that. So when I mention launch, that's what I'm talking about. It's just going for it. It's putting everything into it for a short period of time, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, to get that launch effect. Take your practice up next level, but then you got to figure some stuff out. You can't just keep on launching. Once you get there, you've got to stabilize. Make sure you're secure before you launch again. So again, whether you choose to make that launch or you choose to just continue following your normal routines, you're always putting something on the line. So choose carefully, like I said. Playing it safe in this case, kind of being like, oh, well, we're good enough. Things are good enough to me is a death sentence. Anytime tells me that people say they're good enough, years later, it's just something you start to regret it being good enough. You always want to be making some sort of a change. And again, that playing it safe is a sure way to lose because you don't ever get what you want out of life. If you have things out there, you've got to take action. You've got to take those risks. Realize that some of these risks are actually worse if we don't take that action. Frankly, making these launches are not just mere gambling. It's not a crapshoot. You simply move on an opportunity that you've been ignoring, something that's been sitting there, something you've been thinking about, pondering, working on. So you abandon your excuses. You kind of reframe the problem in front of you, and you take a completely different chance. You don't take the chance of just standing on the shore or just accepting what life has given you. You take a different chance. This launch is risking in a way that kind of unmasks the truth. It unmasks what's inside of you and what you want to have in life. And it allows you to go after those things, revealing that the only thing of significance that's been standing in your way is you. I know that's hard to hear, but it's always the case. The only thing stopping you from getting those things is yourself choosing a risk and choosing the risk that has the opportunity to give you what you want, as opposed to the risk that is a surefire way to stay exactly where you are. So risk believing in yourself. Risk acting on the assumption that you can succeed in making these launches, that you can jump to that next level quickly. I don't want to say easily, but with less effort than it takes you to stay where you're at, quite honestly. And all the clients that I've worked with that have made that launch will say that, is that it was hard to struggle. It was hard to stay where they were. It was always something going on. But when they took the effort and they made that launch and they get up there, things are actually easier up there. Just so you can have more success with less effort than you've spent in the past. So again, risk it yourself. Risk that you can succeed. Otherwise, the risk is that you're going to settle for only a fraction of what life has to give you. Life wants to give you. I always talk about the fact that patients coming wanting to refer to you. And I would also say that life wants to give you way more than what you're getting right now. But you've got to take that risk. And again, it's less of a risk. When I say take a risk, I'm saying it's a different risk than what you're taking right now. You've got to choose that different set. High performance chiropractors know that this isn't a case of taking a big chance. It's a matter of giving yourself a big chance. The major obstacle to overcoming the odds in life is never challenging them. If you don't challenge them, you can never overcome them. Until you test the limits regarding what you can achieve, you can't truly know what your chances are. So the odds change in your favor when you begin to challenge them. I talked about it last week. When you start moving towards your goal, goal starts moving towards you. So the odds start to change too when you're taking action, when you're challenging those risks. But if you try to minimize your vulnerability, when you try to play it safe and try to avoid that new set of risk, you're going to kill your chances for success. And again, I know high performance chiropractors know that. If you've been struggling and stuck in a place, or you've gotten to a place where you're comfortable, it's not normally a very good place to be. You've got to get outside and get uncomfortable a little bit, taking a new set of risks. Again, it might not be as risky, but it's still new. It's still different. And that's the problem here, is we got to choose a different set of risks. All right, let's see who stopped by here. Lots of people on there. Make sure you answer the question today, which is, what's the best sport to watch live? What kind of sporting events do you like to go to? Obviously, with our world right now, those are all shut down. I don't know if they're going to be opening back up. I've heard statements that people are like, I'll never go to another live sporting event again. If you were to go to a live sporting event again, which would it be? Basketball, baseball, football, anything else? Let's see what we got tomorrow. tomorrow we're going to be creating your personal morning success ritual. So we've been working on motivation and productivity. We've gotten rid of some stuff, right? We've been working on getting rid of some mental stuff, some junk up there. And now we're going to be working on building a personal success morning ritual. We talked last week that your willpower disappears throughout the day, right? It gets harder and harder to have willpower. The morning is the best time to do it. So it's the best time to get some of your most important stuff done. And that's why we want a good personal morning success ritual. I see Casey says baseball. And John also says Cubs games, which I guess means baseball. I'm sure, I know I've got a couple Cardinals fans as viewers as well, so you guys might have a little battle here later. But anyways, make sure you stop by tomorrow morning for creating a personal success ritual. I would love to know your thoughts about choosing a different set of risks. Today's show, put those in the comments down below, and I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central Daylight Time.